Hail Caesar, Marcus. Well, just finished up another shift where I was chained to Paul again, the Hebrew. You been with him any? Man, that guy's different, isn't he?
Yeah.
I tell you, I mostly, after doing this, I can figure out people, but I can't figure him out. He has all these visitors coming in. He has this house that's, I don't know how he's paying for it, and people are taking care of him, and he has these messengers, and he just goes on, and I'm like, he's on trial for his life, and he doesn't even care. You know, for him it's win-win. If he dies and we execute him, he gets to go be with this king for eternity he's always talking about, and if he's acquitted, he just keeps on preaching. I was talking to him about this king, and he said, Octavian, he's more than a king. He's a savior, and he died on the cross. He died on the cross for me. I'm thinking, Paul, I don't even know this guy. And he goes, Octavian, he knows you. And when he was dying on that cross, he was thinking of you, and he knows what you're going through, and he knows the pain of all that stuff that I've done as a soldier that I'm scared that, frankly, one day I'm going to have to pay for, but he paid for it. Then he goes on and on. He's talking about the guards, and he talked about you, Marcus.
You're kidding.
No.
You bought into it?
I don't know.
He said there's a whole bunch of us guards who believed, but frankly, I didn't think you would be one of them. I mean, rumor is, in combat, you didn't distinguish too carefully between civilians and soldiers.
Well, I was doing my duty, but...
That was tough luck for whoever got in the way of your sword. But, yeah you are different now.
Yeah. Anyway, this Paul character, all he's concerned about is this gospel message of his. And he's telling me that even a lot of the guards are believing, and I don't know, I think he's got something. He says people in Rome are believing, and the message is getting out all over the world.
Did he tell you about that letter he's been writing? Well, I mean, I guess he just must have started it yesterday, but...
Yeah, he was in the middle of it today, and I asked him, I said, who's this letter to? And he said, to my friends in Philippi. I guess he's traveled there a few times, and they're the ones apparently sending him all this money for the house. And he was writing them a letter, just telling them thanks for sending the money and to hang in there. I guess some people in the town are making it difficult, something like that. But most of the day he just spent writing his letter, and there's those two other dudes were in the room with him, that young guy named Timothy, and then that short guy, Epaphroditus, yeah, Epaphroditus, man, what a weird name. But Epaphroditus was in there, and, you know, I can't get those guys either.
Yeah, you know, you'd think after being chained to someone for 6 hours a day, 3-4 times a week, for several weeks, you would, like, figure him out. But I can't figure him out either. I mean, take that one guy, Timothy.
Yeah.
He and Paul seem to know each other really, really well. I've heard that him and Paul went on lots of travels together, and I even thought he might be his son, the way he like served him and like did everything he needed for him.
You know, I thought the same thing, and I said, hey, Paul, is that your son? And he says, well, not physically, but for all intents and purposes, he's like my son, and he takes care of me the way that a son would take care of his father. So then I said, well, how did you guys meet? And then Paul told me,
Octavian, I don't know another young man like him. He cares as much as I do about this king I've been telling you about. I remember when I first met him. It was a few years back. I went to his hometown. It's Lystra. And I had been there once before, but on this second trip, I met his mother and his grandmother, and they really spoke highly of him, as did everyone in the church. He was a little younger then. He was in his early 20s. But everyone just kept speaking of how much he cared for other people. And just what a good kid he was. So I decided to take him with me on my trip. These people I'm writing to in Philippi, he was with me when I first went to them. They know him and they trust him. And afterwards, after all this is over, I'm going to send him back there, because I know that's where he's supposed to be. Look here what I'm writing to them. I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon. I have no one else like him who takes a genuine interest in your welfare. For everyone looks out for his own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. But you know that Timothy has proved himself, because as a son with his father, he has served me with the work of the gospel. You know, when this is all over, whether things go for me or against me, I know that Timothy is supposed to be in Philippi. He's the only one that I trust to send there. They'll listen to him, and he'll convey the message that needs to be conveyed.
Octavian, do you know how rare it is to find a man like that? A man who cares more about other people's interests than he does his own? Someone who could care less about what happens to himself as long as who he's helping does well. Do you know how rare it is to find a man like that?
Yeah, I tell you what, the guy's 30 years old. Apparently he's very dedicated, and he's got some get up and go, and he's got this ambition. You'd think he'd be thinking about starting his family, getting his career going, but all he can think about is serving his king by serving Paul. And Paul says he's going to go into the ministry, and I just don't get that. I mean, why a guy would do something like that, and apparently this king of theirs can really change someone's life. And I give up, when I was talking to Paul, I gave up trying to understand Timothy, and then there's that other guy, that Epaphroditus. Man, when Paul told me about what he went through to come to Rome, I couldn't believe it. Paul said, and one.
Octavian, do you see that fellow sitting over there? He's the one who brought me the money from Philippi. His name's Epaphroditus. When I'm done, I'm going to give him this letter and have him take it back home with him. You know, that church is pretty worried about him. He's been pretty ill. Let me read you this paragraph I just finished. But I think it is necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, my brother, fellow worker and fellow soldier, who is also your messenger, whom you sent to take care of my needs. For he longs for all of you, and is distressed because you heard he was ill. Welcome him in the Lord with great joy, and honor men like him, because he almost died for the work of Christ, risking his life to make up for the help you could not give me. Did you know that, Octavian? He almost died bringing money to me. I mean, he traveled some 800 miles, and he was on a ship for weeks and weeks, and after being on the ship for a while, he got so sick that he almost died. And then he could have turned around. It would have been easy. He had 2 years worth of rent on the ship with him, and all he wanted to do was get that money to me. He lost 30 pounds in a very short time. He risked his life for the work of our king. Would you risk your life for a king?
I wouldn't risk my life for Caesar. I mean, I'm a soldier. I'm part of his personal bodyguard. But would I take a spear for Caesar? If it came down to it, I don't know. I mean, I'm paid to do it. But if I weren't paid to do it, would I consider Caesar worth my life?
Marcus, I'm on the other end of this. I'm thinking about Epaphroditus. I mean, he's on that boat. He has all that money. Man, I would take the money and retire to the French Riviera. I mean, these guys, we don't have guys like that. You have Timothy, his only ambition is to serve the king. You have Epaphroditus, he's willing to die for this king. And all Paul can do is think about being with his king.
Yeah, we don't have men like that.